Welcome to the Shema Podcast, the podcast for the perplexed, where Torah insights intertwined through personal stories as well as interviews with leading Torah scholars demonstrate the empowering qualities of Torah and mitzvot. For more great Torah learning through Torch, the Torah Outreach Center of Houston, go to torchweb.org. Now to the show.
Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of the Shema Podcast. I'm going to share something with you that may get me removed from many potential invitations to upcoming Hanukkah parties. But this time of year, as we approach Hanukkah, I get many mixed emotions, feelings of frustration, and I will tell you, my friends, why. When you think about the Jewish people back when they were confronted with the Greek world, and the Greeks offered them their culture, their lifestyle, material abundance, physical pleasures, and all they asked in return from the Jewish people was to give up their Torah and their Torah observance. And back then, the Jews knew that was not an option. A Jew without Torah is like a fish trying to exist and live outside of water. The Torah was so much a part of them that they were willing to die versus living without it. And so they fought. And because of their efforts, the Almighty stepped in and allowed a small group of yeshiva boys to destroy the world's most powerful army. And we celebrate Hanukkah every year. And the objective is supposed to be to see and look at the battle strategy that was used back then and repeat it year after year after year. But we have to be honest with ourselves. We won that battle. But in the war that has ensued since, we are being destroyed. 80% of our fellow Jews are POWs. They're prisoners of war. They've been taken by the Greek army. The main reason I started this podcast was to attempt to extract as many of my brothers and sisters from behind enemy lines and bring them back home. And if you think I am being a Debbie Downer, let's just look at the facts, my friends. Let's just take a moment before we get to the Hanukkah parties. And I promise I will get in a very elevated, excited mood, knowing this is the time for Hashem to bring miracles into the world, and we need them right now. But just to look at the objective metrics. What did the Greeks want to take from us? 1, Torah study and the observance of Torah. 2, bris milah. 3, Shabbos. 4, kosher. And 5, the sanctification of the new moon, basically to establish the calendar so we would know when the festivals occurred. And if you look at those metrics, well, how are we doing? You have to admit, we're not doing very well collectively. And more frustrating is knowing that the Greek army today are fellow Jews. It is the fake rabbis. All the things I just listed were stolen from me by these fake rabbis. And these fake rabbis have stolen the very things the Greeks wanted to take away from the Jewish people. They have taken it from so many Jews, approximately 75-80%. I'm not mincing words here. I know who the Greek army is, and they are my brothers too. And yes, I would love them to do teshuvah. But there is a verse in the Torah that states the following regarding the Jewish people not showing mercy to idolaters who lead Jews astray. And it says, do not yield to them or listen to them. Do not show him pity or compassion. Do not shield him. The way we win this battle and save our brothers and sisters is by educating them. I decided what I would do in this episode, considering so many Jews only show up one time a year at their synagogue because they're not being inspired by anything. They feel a connection. Of course, their Jewish neshama needs that connection at least one time a year at Rosh Hashanah. They're not feeling inspired to come there. It's not their fault by any means. They're not getting the spiritual nourishment they need from these fake rabbis. So they show up once a year at Rosh Hashanah, and the rabbi typically gives a sermon on politics, and then they go home again till the following year. What I want to do with this episode, my friends, is I decided I am going to write a sermon for these rabbis. That way, if they run out of time and they need something to deliver, and they've already spent the previous multiple months since the election spending their Friday night Shabbos services discussing politics, that maybe they would want to discuss something different. So I decided I'm going to write the following sermon for them to give to their congregation. I think it'd be fitting if they give this sermon after they brought the Torah out from the ark and displayed it for the congregation to see, and then rolled it back up and put it back in the ark. And then they could begin in the following way. My dear congregation, every year you show up for Rosh Hashanah, and I show you the Torah, and then I roll it up and I put it back in the ark, because for me it is symbolic of what I have made sure me and my fellow colleagues, my fellow fake rabbis, that you never learn a word of what it says. You see, if you had actually studied it, if I had encouraged you to study it, if I had taught it to you, you would begin to not only believe, but know with every fiber of your being that every verse, word, and letter in the Torah came from the Almighty. Each size of each letter, each crown on each Torah, every detail of that Torah is the exact Torah that an infinite eternal creator had our leader Moshe Rabbeinu write down for him per his dictation. You would know that, and that would be very problematic for me, because you would continue to learn and read the multiple verses where our Creator is telling us as the Jewish people that the Torah, the mitzvot and the laws are there for every generation, and to not think otherwise, and to teach that to their children. I can't have that because I don't want to follow the Torah. I disagree. Me and my fellow fake rabbis, we disagree with what the Almighty is saying is right or wrong. We don't want to keep Shabbos. We don't want to keep kosher. We want to marry whomever we want to marry together. We want to do things on our terms. And this has not been easy for us. Yes, we gave you what you thought was a Jewish education growing up, but we told you that you were done at the age of 13. And what was your Jewish education? Coloring in a lot of pictures of Adam and Eve, Abraham, Joseph and his multicolored coat, Moses holding the Ten Commandments. We just taught very surface level Torah to young children. And then your education ended. The stories that you learn at such a young age are so fantastical, so unbelievable, that many Jewish kids think that Jack and the Beanstalk is a story from the Torah. But for some reason, there was a big push about 50, 60 years ago to start learning Hebrew again. This was potentially very problematic. But what we did, which is pretty ingenious, is we convinced you that by knowing how to translate Hebrew letters into Hebrew sounds, you now knew Hebrew, even though you don't comprehend any of it. And this helped us quite a bit. Now, we did change the siddur. We had to obviously change some very important prayers. In the Shemon Esrei, the 18 brachas, there was a 19th one added to help flush out the early Christians from among us. We pray for Hashem to take the heretics and destroy them and get them away from us. Obviously, we don't want you saying a prayer for Hashem to destroy the heretics, since me and my colleagues in the fake rabbi movement are the heretics of today. Then there was this resurgence to want to have bar and bat mitzvahs. Very problematic. We thought you may begin to ask, what is a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah? To where we would have to say, well, that a bar mitzvah is a son of the mitzvos, the commandments, and a bat mitzvah is a daughter of the commandments. And then you would say, well, what is a mitzvah? And we would have to explain it means it comes from the root word for commandment, but in Aramaic, a very sister language to Hebrew, it means connection. And then you would ask, connect to what? And I may have to say, connecting to your Creator. You would know that each of the mitzvos is a way to connect to the infinite light and love of your Creator. And we can't have that. So what we told you, since you don't know Hebrew, is that mitzvah means good deed. Pretty brilliant. We're pretty proud of ourselves. And who defines those good deeds? You got it. We do. What's the most important good deed? Pay your membership dues so you can continue to pay my big salary and fund my pension. Now, one of the holidays that we kept was Hanukkah, and it's sort of problematic, but we told you something untrue. We told you that the Greeks wanted to physically kill the Jewish people. We won. There was the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 days, and that was it. So just be like the Christians. We have a holiday. They have their trees. We have our menorahs, but we can have our Christmas trees too. And we give gifts. And just keep it on a very surface level. But the truth is that the Greeks want to take away many things from the Jews. And they are the same things that me and my colleagues have successfully taken away. For one, we wanted to take away Torah study from you and Torah observance, and we have done that. You come here every year. Some of you have been coming here your entire life. You're in your 70s, 80s, and you have no idea what your Torah says, even though I present it to you every year. The Greeks wanted to take away kosher, and the Jews back then fought for it. We took that away from you. We know that when a Jew eats non-kosher food, as the Talmud says, it hardens their heart. It diminishes their spiritual connection. It makes them very selfish. It makes them look inwardly. And when a Jew is looking inwardly and operating from a state of selfishness, they can't cleave to their Creator. They're filled with arrogance. For us to be successful as a congregation, we could not have you have this spiritually pure diet. So we took kosher away from you. The Greeks wanted to take away Shabbos observance. They failed. We did not. If a Jew were to keep Shabbos, when you keep Shabbos and refrain from all those, from the 39 creative acts, there's such a level of connection to your Creator that you would have eventually woken up and started asking questions, and we can't have that here. For one, we want you to be able to drive on Shabbos because we need you living, not in a community amongst each other. We need you living out among the non-Jews. We need you embedded throughout your lives in Greek culture. See, we wanted to give you Greek culture just like the Greeks back then wanted. And we gave it to you. And isn't it amazing? So that would require you to drive here because we do need you to come here and be a part of the synagogue because, again, we need you to pay your dues so you can pay for my salary and my pension. You know, out of the 39 creative acts that the Almighty says not to do on Shabbos in order to connect to the one Creator, 38 are implicit. He states the activities necessary to build the Mishkan, and he says, now don't do those activities on Shabbos. One of those is explicit. Do not light a fire on Shabbos. It's explicitly written. You know, when you drive your car just 1 mile, you light over 10,000 fires. Now, the Gemara says is that if someone, like me, is leading Jews astray, then their sins fall on them. But you see, my friends, I don't have fear of Hashem. I have fear of you not paying your membership dues so the synagogue can pay my salary and fund my pension. So we took away Shabbos observance from you successfully. Torah study, mitzvot observance, gone. Shabbos observance, gone. We took it from you. Kosher, gone. We took it from you. The other one was bris milah. You may be thinking, oh, well, we kept that. We gave all of our boys a ritual circumcision on day 8. Or maybe we just had the doctor do it the next day. But either way, our boys do not have foreskins on. This is why it helps to keep you living in total ignorance. Because what you don't know is that even if the foreskin is removed from a young Jewish baby, that the bris milah is lost through sexual misconduct. Yes, that's why many of us write blogs saying it's okay to masturbate because you violate your bris milah. We say it's okay to have sexual relationships with non-Jews, a violation of the bris, or men with men. All these things are violation of bris. So yes, we took away your bris milah as well. The fifth thing the Greeks wanted to take away was the sanctification of the moon. If the Jewish people could not establish the new moon, they wouldn't know when the festivals and the holidays occurred. Now, by this point in time, the Hebrew calendar had been set, and we didn't want it to go away. But the end goal of the Greeks was to get Jews to stop observing the festivals and the points throughout the year when they can connect at a deep spiritual level to their Creator. We successfully did that as well. During the festival of Pesach, if a Jew stops eating chametz and removes it all from their home and only eats matzah, the divine influx from the heavens, combined with the Jew not having possession of chametz, creates such a spiritually uplifting experience that you would awaken and start asking questions. So we told you, you don't have to remove the chametz from your home. It's okay. Just eat the matzah is all you need to do during Pesach. Now, one of the things we did hide from you is there's actually another holiday 50 days after Pesach called Shavuos. You don't know anything about that. We didn't want to teach you about that because that is actually the festival where the Jewish people go back to that point in time that repeats itself when the Jews received the Torah at Mount Sinai from their Creator. And obviously, we don't want you doing that. So we don't tell you about the holiday of Shavuos. Because you may even ask, what do Jews do to celebrate it? And I may have to answer the question truthfully and say, well, they study Torah. And I don't want you to do that. There's another festival called Sukkos. When a Jew sits in a sukkah, they are infused with emunah and a recognition of their Creator. Again, elevating your consciousness to a level where you would begin to ask questions. So we don't do that holiday either, do we? No. We don't tell you about Sukkos, we don't tell you about Shavuos, and we tell you to experience a Passover, but we don't tell you how to do it in a way that will attach you to the divine influx of energy. So we didn't need to take away the sanctification of the new moon. We took away the end goal of what the Greeks wanted to do back then. You see, my friends, me and my fellow fake rabbis, we are the Greek army of today. And where the Greeks failed millennia ago, we succeeded. We took everything the Greeks wanted to take from you, we took from you. Everything the Greeks wanted to give to you, we gave to you. You're thriving. You're thriving in Greek culture. You're making lots of money. You're enjoying the pleasures of the world. And I want you making lots of money in this Greek culture because, again, not to sound repetitive, but really need you paying your dues so you can pay my big fat salary and fund my pension. But the reality is that we are winning the war. The Greek army today, me and my fellow fake rabbis, we are winning. And we will always win as long as you don't study your Torah.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting Torch so they can continue to spread Torah wisdom to the world by making a donation at torchweb.org and clicking donate in the top right corner of the page.